Hello there and welcome to another package of Breakfast Central here on News Central Television. My name is Felicity Ezewike.
Well, good morning to you. Good morning, Africa. And good morning to you, Felicity.
Good morning.
My name is Olisa Chukuma. Welcome once again. It's a Thursday, the 25th day of March, 2021. Once again, it's going to be a bumper pack show on the morning, Craig.
A lot is going on across Nigeria at the moment. We'll be bringing you some of that. We'll also be talking about other things happening across Africa.
Well, you can join the conversation by letting us know you're watching from. Use the hashtag NC Breakfast Central. Follow us on Twitter at News Central TV and head to our website for more. That's newscentral.africa. And don't forget, you can download the News Central TV mobile app. Yes, we've got it on Play Store and also on iOS.
Let's quickly let you know what to expect on the show this morning. We have a few stories to keep you up to date as usual with what you might have missed in the news. We'll have a morning tea, a look at the top headlines in our newspaper review segment. And of course, we have our impact conversation. Today, we'll be talking about the Ebola virus in the Democratic Republic of Congo. Well, the latest from there is that the last patient has been discharged in the latest resurgence of Ebola. We're going to look at a long-term approach to handling the Ebola virus. And of course, we'll be taking a look at vaccine. Yes, there is one for Ebola, but we're looking now at vaccines in Nigeria. Some scientists have developed it's in the process. The trials and experimentation is ongoing, which is good news indeed.
All right.
That is not all. Sports is expected. We'll be having Onyinye Obaro bring us some sports update along with us here. Then your favorite part, our timeline, happens to be mine as well. But first, stories from last night.
Yes, indeed. And we're starting out in the north of the continent in Egypt, where the shortest shipping route from Europe to Asia remains blocked. I'm talking about the Suez Canal. Now, 8 tugboats struggle to free one of the world's largest container ships after it ran around in the Suez Canal. Now, the 400-meter, 224-ton Ever-Given ship ran around on Tuesday morning after losing the ability to steer amid high winds and dust storms.
About 30% of global container ship traffic passes through the canal each day, carrying everything from fuel to consumer goods. The main alternative route for ships traveling between Asia and Europe around the African Cape takes a week longer to navigate.
Well, at least 30 ships were blocked to the north of the Ever-Given and 3 to the south. Several dozen ships are also grouped around the northern and southern entrances to the canal. So there you have it. The images we're showing you right now about that ship, the Ever-Given. Well, clearly this is doing something that is beyond its name, blocking the Suez Canal. And more than 50 ships pass that place a day. It accounts for, about 20% of the world's shipping.
Yes, indeed. We'll move on now to the interagency rivalry among Nigerian security services, coupled with a lack of public buy-ins, has been described as the bane of the country's efforts against insecurity.
And this comes up as security agencies and other stakeholders converged in Nigeria's capital of Abuja for a national security summit aimed at reappraising Nigeria's efforts in the fight against terrorism, banditry and kidnapping. Now, our correspondent, Amadine Uyi, reports.
The summit with the team Kinetic Operations as a major plank for counter-terrorism and counter-insurgency in Nigeria, issues, challenges and prospects appraised Nigeria's current counter-terrorism operations. The effect on insecurity and its impact on Nigerians was also highlighted.
Physical security in Nigeria expectedly has both forward and backward linkages to different shades and forms of national security. When fear and insecurity pervades the land, and at times when global indicators of national insecurity give room to serious concern.
Nigeria's security chief assured those present that Nigeria's defense headquarters is well aware of its mandate and remains focused to achieving results.
Our strategic objectives are manifold and include to neutralize non-state actors and other agents of violence in our communities, forests, and countryside, to stabilize the security situation across the nation, to facilitate law and order, and lastly, to provide the enabling environment for peace and development.
The guest lecturer took time to expose the failings of current security operations.
All the layers that have been given the responsibility of managing our national security must be seen to be clearly in synergy with each other. Regrettably, we haven't seen that in a very long while. There have been chaotic relationships as a result of that lack of synergy.
He also tasked Nigeria's military to build public confidence and get the buy-in of Nigerians.
You have to approach the people directly to cut their friendship, cut their understanding. Tell them what you are going to do. It's a difficult procedure. Doctors tell their patients when they have difficult situations to handle, they should let you know what you are up against. It will not come easy, it may come easy. So prepare your mind. But we need to do that together. We need to share this vision together. And if you do so together, the chances are that we will succeed together.
The summit, which held at Nigeria's National Defense.
All right.
That's a report on security. Security is always a concern anywhere you go in Africa, across the world, actually. So let's hope that they can deal with the rivalry and get to the work of securing Nigeria. Moving on now, the South Sudan's main opposition party has condemned a deadly attack on one of its military camps, saying it is a violation of the country's ceasefire. Now, Sudan People's Liberation Movement in opposition, SPLM-IO, said 5 of its soldiers, including a camp commander, were killed on Monday when unknown gunmen attacked and burned a military camp in eastern Equatorial State.
Well, the spokesman for the group, which is the Sudanese People's Liberation Movement, Colonel Paul Gabriel, called for the incident to be investigated and those responsible to be held accountable. Now, President Salva Kiir and his rival leader, Riek Machar, who is now the first vice president, formed a unity government in February last year, ending a 6-year brutal civil war. Well, there you have it, some of the latest big news on the continent of Africa, as we continue to track them right here on News Central. We love to say it's Africa first, as always.
Yes, it's important that you stay tuned for all news bulletins through the day so you get the latest as it happens across the continent. For now, we will take a short breather, and when we come back, we'll be looking at the papers. Don't go away. A pleasure to know you're still with us on Breakfast Central. Let's take a look at some of the headlines this morning. We start in Nigeria with the Nation newspaper. The big one here is federal government, Lagos on collision course over vaccination. There seems to be some controversy around that, not just here. We'll get to talk a bit more on that, as well as the possibility of a new vaccine coming out of Nigeria.
All right, so you got one there, still on the bottom of the Nation, says arrested 80-year-old herder who grazes between Kogi, Osun, released in Ondo. These are southwestern states in the country. Says there's a quote there, says he has paid compensation. Wow, more of that on the front page and page 4 of the Nation in Nigeria.
This one is a recurrent thing when the rainy season comes. So you see it on the front page, just above the masthead of the Nation. Disastrous flooding likely across states, agency warns. And then you have underneath that big caption we mentioned, that's the federal government, Lagos on collision course over vaccination. There are 2 riders to it. Agency threatens to stop vaccine supply. We also have, we're working to resolve all issues. Amen to that one.
All right, then, let's move straight up. We go. Let's go to the New Vision in Uganda. So we're going to East Africa. No time to waste to see what they have on the front page. So the New Vision in Uganda, it talks about teachers' course to last for 4 years because there's a new teacher policy that starts in August.
This one says, I killed 5 women. Man confesses.
Oh, my gosh.
I really don't get... Anyway, let me just...
Femicide. All right, still in Uganda, Daily Monitor, we go. Daily Monitor, no time to waste. Quickly, we'll move. Uganda's Daily Monitor talks about fathers, relatives defile daughters. So this is a shocking one as we move to the next paper in Uganda. Says it's actually termed damning report. A government report says the number of fathers sexually abusing their own daughters has more than doubled in the last 1 year. Yet the search for justice seems to elude the victims. Also named in the vice are family members, including uncles, aunts, brothers, and sisters.
Well, it's not peculiar to them. We have cases here in Nigeria as well. People get raped and there is no justice, and people chalk it down to the transient nature of the crime, because sometimes it's your word against them. So we have to evolve a better way to deal with this situation across board. There's still something on the Daily Monitor quickly. Workers, MPs hit out at Kasaja over NSSF money. And police arrest man who killed 4 women, baby. I guess that's the report that was picked on the other paper. Okay, so last one in East Africa. Let's go to the nation in Kenya. The nation in Kenya this morning, and it's talking about the Russian vaccine, Sputnik V, on their front page of the nation in Kenya. It says Russian vaccine now raises safety concerns as guidelines for distribution still under development. So that's on the front page of the nation in Kenya. Mombasa's empty ICU beds. That's a piece you might want to go read. Why are they empty ICU beds? And is it a good thing? Does that mean, we don't have people in intensive care anymore? You might want to read that one as well. Let's see. I don't know. We've not taken daily news. That's in Zimbabwe. Well, that means we're going down south. So going straight to daily news in Zimbabwe. Yes. ED, other VIPs take COVID jab as opinion makers lead by example on vaccines. All right. Also, there says Zim neighbors wary of Easter infections as the Easter season rolls quite quickly. And we'll wrap up with proceedings still in the south of the continent with the Sowetan in South Africa. And they've got quite a startling one this morning. That's a picture in court. It's all about the murder trial of that man, Mthokuzisi Ntumba. Says top cops tried to foil murder probe. And they see them covered there. These are former police officers, well, still police officers who are facing trial for that murder case. It's a good thing to see, though, because here, what we mostly, they say they do it privately. They will do their internal, I don't know what they call it, marshal or something, and then they will discipline them. The most you hear is that they've been dismissed. It's very rare to see them taken to court and tried this way. All right, so there you have it for the papers we've taken for you this morning. Different parts of Africa, started in West Africa with the nation, also took quite a few in East Africa, went down south to the daily news in Zimbabwe and also the Sowetan in South Africa. Another quick video will do for us. We'll come back. We'll go straight to our impact discussions. You don't want to miss them. Stay with us. Back. Conversation starts right now. We have a guest standing by already, but let's give you a bit of a background. Now, the countdown to the end of the latest Ebola outbreak in the Democratic Republic of Congo, that's the DRC, began after the last Ebola patient was discharged on Monday from a health center in Katwa City. The WHO said they came just 37 days after the resurgence of the virus. Now, according to the recent figures shown and announced by the WHO Africa region, during the 12th Ebola outbreak, there were 12 cases of Ebola, which were confirmed. 6 people died and more than 1,000 people were vaccinated against the virus. Now, the DRC announced a new outbreak on the 7th of February in the eastern part after a case was identified near the Butembo in North Kivu province. Now, the new cases come more than 2 months after the end of last outbreak, which happened around the 18th of November last year. Since its discovery in 1976, the majority of cases and outbreaks of Ebola virus disease have occurred in Africa. The 2014-2016 case in West Africa began in a rural setting in southeastern Guinea and spread to urban areas and across borders within weeks and became a global epidemic within months. To discuss this, we have joining us Fatuma Kalala Alimasi, host of Your Health program, for VOA Congo to come give us some information on what's going on. Thank you very much for joining us this morning.
It's my pleasure.
All right, let's begin by, considering that this is the 12th outbreak, how elated are you with the discharge of these patients?
It's a pleasure to know that the DRC has been facing Ebola outbreak for more than 40 years. And each time that they have Ebola, they know how to deal with it. Before 2014, they were just using, they were putting a ring around those people who contacted Ebola. But now they have vaccines, two kinds of vaccine that they can vaccinate people. And also they have this therapy put in place by Dr. Muyembe, who is one of the doctors since 1976. He has been treating people with Ebola.
All right, Fatuma, the DRC, has recorded, 12 Ebola outbreaks since then, at least so far on the count. Why does this virus keep resurfacing in the DRC? What do you think are the reasons?
No, the virus cannot go away, you know that. The virus is still there. It's a pathogen, so they're still going to have Ebola. But what they can learn from Ebola resurfacing is how they can deal with it. Each time that they have Ebola, they have a system in place. They can tackle it. They have actually, that I see, they have a structure. If somebody comes with a symptom of Ebola, they don't have to rely just on other research facilities to go and try to examine people. They have that in place. And also, they have people who have been trained, and they can immediately, if there is any Ebola outbreak, and deal with people, they can treat it, and they can also vaccinate. This is, I think, it's a good step for the DRC and for the world also. Now they have a plan how they can manage people who comes with symptoms of Ebola.
Okay, how high is the fear of a resurgence? And what were some of the things that you might have noticed was done differently to contain this latest outbreak?
The 10th outbreak was difficult to contain because, as you know, in the east of Congo, there are so many rebels groups. So they have many rebel groups. There was also communication among the community. And also, people were not trusting those who came from outside. Outsiders, they were not welcome. But now that they have local communities, now that they can see their brother and sisters telling them that this outbreak is true, this Ebola really exists, and they are teaching them, they are giving them lessons how to handle if they have like a person who died and they don't know how he died or the cause of his death. They don't have just to handle the corpse like they used to do. They have to rely on health centers, health people, and to report all suspect cases.
All right, Fatuma. We know that significant developments for the prevention of Ebola vaccine have been, made with two vaccines. That's the Avebo and the Zabdeno, now licensed for use in several countries, including the DRC, which is approving the Avebo vaccine. Now, how has the public, responded to these two vaccines so far?
With all the vaccines, you can see it now, even if with COVID-19, people are reluctant about taking the vaccine, but they are trying, and they are trying their best to bring people, those who has immediate contact with a Ebola case, they are trying to make a ring around them, tracing like contact of contact, they try to vaccinate them. so far for this 12 outbreak, they vaccinated more than 1,700 people. And among people that they are vaccinating, not just the contact and the contact of the contact, they are trying also to vaccinate health workers, those who get in contact with sick people, and those who are vaccinating them, they have to be sure that they are vaccinated. And also, there's also this fear. And those who has like voice, they are trying to give false informations. So now what I see from interviews with health workers, from doctors and Minister of Health, they are trying to tell people they have to trust. They are there to help them. The vaccine are good. And so far, the last 10th outbreak, it was for 2 years. I know they had people who died, but looking at the number, for 2 years, having like 2,000 people, that was a good achievement for the Democratic Republic of Congo.
All right, let me ask you this. Just last week, I think March 18, actually, let me see if I can see that report. The African Centers for Disease Control said Guinea and the Democratic Republic of Congo have reported 30 Ebola cases and 15 related deaths. I'm highlighting this because I wanted to ask you the possibility of an importation. Now that you have the last patient that's been discharged, is there a heightened possibility of an importation if we have such strain in Guinea, for instance?
I didn't get that.
I'm asking you about the possibility of importation. We also know that there is a case of Ebola in Guinea, according to the WHO. So is there a fear that now that you've discharged your last patient, there might be, importation of Ebola case again?
Of course, Ebola case, we may have that. That's why this time of 42 days are very important. They are going everywhere, in the bushes. They are going in the community to try to see if there is any uncommunicated case of death of people with symptoms of Ebola. I'm sure that the DRC government, the health minister, they're trying to tackle that issues and see if in the future, if a new outbreak comes in the DRC, they can face that.
Right. Just before Lisa comes in, let me just interject
you cannot
quickly.
Control any outbreak. You cannot
talking
that
about
the virus is contained.
Sorry to interrupt you, Fatuma. You were talking about the government, what they are doing. They've been advised to do proper screening at entry posts. Are you aware of such moves by the government to make sure that entry posts into the country and proper health checks are done?
Now, with a Guinea outbreak, Guinea and DRC, it's a little bit far. And what they are trying to do, they control people coming in the DRC. We have COVID. They cannot control Ebola. It's just that if a person was in contact with an Ebola, or it comes where there is Ebola, they can be in 20 days confinement for 21 days. That's what they can do. With COVID, it's 14 days, but with Ebola, it's 21 days.
All right.
But so far, Ebola this time, the 12 times, has not gone far out of the North Kivu region. So they have 4 zones that is really, really red zones. And other than that, they have 12 others around the 4 zones. So there's no way they can control people who are coming in North Kivu, coming from South Kivu or coming from Kinshasa. For my part.
All right, Fatuma, you host the Your Health program on the VOA Lingala, which is one of basically the biggest language spoken out there in Congo. What would you say is the biggest concern right now?
The biggest concern for me is a communication.
Okay.
If you don't say, you don't tell people how to handle, how to communicate, and tell them also the truth. It's not because you want to get in power, you can go and lie and saying that those people who are coming to help you, they are not. They are coming for your wealth. They want to take your lands. Or when they are telling you about burying, you are not supposed to handle the corpse like we used to do. You have to take them do it. So the communication is the key.
All right.
About Ebola.
Well, thank you very much, Fatuma Kalala Alimasi, your host of your health program out there in VOA Lingala. Thank you very much for coming on Breakfast Central this morning.
Thank you for having me.
All right.
Have a lovely day.
Wow, quite a robust one, you have to say, we had this morning.
I'm still concerned that there will be a resurgence because
they will or they might. It's speculative. Anyway.
I'm not speculating about it because the vaccination doesn't seem to be covering, from what I've seen, it doesn't seem to be covering enough grounds. Because if you keep having resurgence, what was the last one? Was it not in January? Yeah. There was one in February, and now we have this one. We had one in November again. So let's hope that they can up the ante on vaccination. That way, we will be able to deal with it. So we do Ebola vaccination, and now we have COVID-19 vaccination, and that takes us to our next impact conversation. We'll be talking about, the possibility of Nigeria coming up with their own vaccine. Will it be a good one for Africa?
All that and more. Yeah. Welcome back to your Breakfast Central on a Thursday. Olise and Felicity with you. Yes, from the fight of Ebola straight to the fight against COVID-19. And this time we're coming home to West Africa, Nigeria. As the fight continues, we've seen vaccine developments in a move at record speed with more than 170 different vaccines in trials. Now, there are more vaccine candidates simultaneously in the pipeline for COVID-19 than ever before for any other infectious disease.
Recently, Nigerian scientists have developed 2 vaccines against the virus. Secretary to the government of the Federation, Boss Mustapha, who is also the chairman of the Presidential Task Force on COVID-19, said clinical trials for the new vaccines are underway, after which the vaccines will be used.
Well, at least 162,000 virus-related cases have been confirmed in the country, and about 2,000 people have died so far from COVID-19 virus, and over 148,000 people have recovered from the disease. Now, what does this take to develop a vaccine? And we're getting into this one with our guest on the program this morning, none other than Dr. Blossom Maduafokwa, who's a public health physician and PRO for the Association of Public Health Physicians in Nigeria. Good morning, Dr. Blessing.
Good morning. Thank you so much for having me.
It's our pleasure. I'll just get off to it. With the controversy around the distribution of the vaccine across the globe, how optimistic are you that Nigeria will be able to pull this off? A vaccine in the pipeline?
Yes, I mean it's fantastic news to learn that Nigeria has 2 vaccines. I want to actually make something clear. It's 2 vaccines in development, not developed. The road to getting a vaccine from the lab to injecting it in the arms of Nigerians, it's a very long one. So, but we can't say that we're not excited that we actually have 2 vaccines in development. They're currently in the preclinical phase, and we're excited to see where this will take us.
Okay, Dr. Blessing, you just said preclinical phase. If we were to look at which you will take us through, which is the steps of vaccine development, that should be phase 2 or phase 3?
Okay, so in vaccine development, you have what you call the exploratory phase. So that's the phase where you're basically testing this vaccine in the lab to actually see if it works. Will it actually be able to stimulate an immune response? Then when you're done with that, you move to testing it on non-human subjects, which would be like your laboratory animals. So what you're trying to do is you're trying to see if this vaccine actually stimulate an immune response in these animals. Then when you're done with that, so that's what we call the preclinical phase.
Okay.
Then when you come to the clinical phase, we have 3 to 4 phases. So the first phase, you're testing the vaccine on dozens of people. What you want to see is if the vaccine actually works. And then you get to the second phase, which is hundreds of people. You want to see if the vaccine is efficacious and if it's safe. You want to see how different groups of people react to the vaccine. Will the elderly, for example, like the COVID-19 vaccines, it was tested on the elderly to find out if they would mount an immune response, because we know that as you get older, your ability to mount an immune response drops. And then you get to the third phase, which you're testing it on tens of thousands of people. So you want to see, does the vaccine work? Is it efficacious and is it safe? At this point, you're monitoring all the side effects. Then when you're done with that, then you go for approval, which a lot of the vaccine candidates have done. When you go for approval, then you begin to vaccinate millions of people like they're currently doing. While you're doing that, you're doing ongoing studies. So that's what we call the phase 4. So even as people are getting vaccinated with the Pfizer, Moderna, there are studies still going on to actually determine what are the side effects to this vaccine and how does this vaccine actually work in the real world. So that's what we call effectiveness of the vaccine. So these are phases of vaccine development.
Basically, Dr. Blossom, we're still in phase 2, right? Basically, still a long way to go for these two vaccines.
I mean, in Nigeria?
Yes.
Okay, so in Nigeria, we're in preclinical phase. Where we haven't gotten to any of the clinical phases with human subjects yet. Yes.
Okay. Not to, I want to be a bit more optimistic because we know that the ones that we are getting, and you're saying they are still even undergoing some sort of trial, checking out what the side effect might be. And we're seeing some of them already, but it's not stopping the use of some of these vaccines. My question would be, can't we speed things up as others have done so that we can have a vaccine that is African grown? There is the conversation of now Africans being fed, vaccines in such instances. Can we speed it up? Do you think it's possible the way other countries did theirs?
It's entirely possible to speed things up. But as you're speeding things up, you can't skip a step. Because when you skip a step, you're going to cost lives. You must complete your preclinical phase, and that's testing it on non-human subjects. That will be animals. You need to complete that phase and have your data complete before you can move to the clinical, before you can actually start testing it on real humans. So yes, we want to speed things up, but there's no way we're going to be able to skip a step and keep people safe. Remember, the number one tenet of the medical profession is do no harm. So we must make sure that we pass through all the steps, even as we attempt to speed things up.
Are you aware of any other vaccine being developed in Africa before we go further? Because we seem to hear of Nigeria's. The one that we heard previously didn't seem to hold much water anymore.
So, there are other African countries that a lot of the vaccines in development, really in Africa, are mostly in the exploratory phase. And it's somehow disheartening to see that we mostly never sort of graduate from that exploratory phase. But we're hoping that with these two vaccines in Nigeria that we can actually break the jinx and move from the exploratory phase to the next phases of vaccine development.
All right, Dr. Blossom, we should, these vaccines, the two vaccines, I'm not sure the name or the companies or who are people procuring these ones now. I hope you can help us with that. Now, should we get to that phase where we get approval for them, what do you think will be the reception for these vaccines for Nigeria and across Africa? Will it be embraced and will it be shipped out to other, perhaps European countries who might even need it more in any case?
Correct. Yes, I mean, you make a very good point. But the point that you make is the solution to the problem that you just raised is what we call risk communication and community mobilization. So you need to communicate with the public from the point that you're like, and you see this in some of the developed countries, what they did with vaccine development. They didn't just wake up one morning and say, oh, here's your vaccine. They carried us along from the time the vaccines were in exploratory phases to the time they were in preclinical development to the time they got into a clinical development. And that's what we need to do for Nigeria, because we're not going to wake up one morning and tell Nigeria or Africa, here is your vaccine, go ahead and take it. We need to carry them along the process so they actually see this transparency in the process. The research is available, the data is available for everyone to review so that people have more confidence in the vaccine as you're rolling it out.
I have to bring this into the conversation, and that's the African factor. We talk a lot about, there's been conversation rather about the fact that most of the trials were not done using the black man to do the investigation and all of that. How relevant is that conversation now, and how important is it with this effort being put forward by Nigeria to at least address that part of the conversation about lack of inclusivity, so to speak?
You raise a very good point, and this is a point. This is a concern that we've had throughout this period of vaccine development, because different races respond differently to vaccines, to medications. So we need to include as many different people as possible in vaccine development, so that when you're rolling it out, you see that the results that you got during the vaccine development are replicated in the population as a whole. But another flip side to this issue that you've raised is some of these vaccine development countries didn't find the right structure that they needed to, because for you to do one of the phase 1, phase 2, or phase 3, there are certain structures that you need to have in place. And a lot of these vaccine development countries were not able to find those structures in place in a lot of the African countries. I know that they were able to do some work with South Africa. So some of the countries need to position themselves to be able to be used during one of these phases of vaccine development.
All right. Thank you very much, Dr. Blossom Maduafokwa, for coming on the program today. We'll be following with you. We'll be following you and perhaps have you on as we go from one stage to another in this vaccine trial and test, and perhaps, maybe, approval for Nigeria and for Africa.
Pinky
crossed. Thank you so much for having me.
Have a lovely day.
Yes.
Okay, I do that a lot. I know it's a bit childish, but man, let's do it. Pinky crossed. Let's do it.
I think fingers crossed.
I do it like this.
Pinky,
let's just hope and pray that our scientists, I know we have very smart,
brilliant ones.
Scientists and researchers in this country, that we will break the genes of something great not coming out when it comes to
and it will be accepted
science.
By us.
If it is approved by NAFDAC and any other
so it doesn't become
I want to be
a case of okrika, original and fake, and foreign made and Nigerian made. Let's end that debate right now. It's a health crisis.
I volunteer on national TV when it gets to the trial stages. All right. Thank you very much for joining us, staying with us thus far. We're not done yet. We're going on a short break, and we will bring in the First Lady of Sports.
Stay with us. Breakfast Central. Right, and welcome back to Breakfast Central. Don't forget to join us on social media. Use the hashtag NC Breakfast Central. Join us on our social media handles, Twitter, and not forgetting YouTube and the website newscentral.africa. Time now for some sports. We've got our very first lady, as we'd love to call her, Onye Obaro, First Lady of Sports. Onyechi, good morning to you. Africa saw action yesterday when it comes to the AFCON qualifiers.
Yes, of course, we did see action go down in Africa for the AFCON qualifiers, of course. But looking at this, I would say some teams are really happy going back after results yesterday as they have joined the qualified teams, as they would say, joining the host team Cameroon, Senegal, Tunisia, Angola, Algeria, Mali, and Burkina Faso, not forgetting Guinea, qualified now, I would say, in that list for the AFCON for 2021. But looking at results from yesterday, I would say the result I was really interested in was that of Ethiopia and Madagascar. Looking at how Madagascar were the Cinderella teams in last year's African Cup of Nations, but being decimated, I would say, at the last minute by Ethiopia was a really surprising one. The goals coming in like, water flowing through the river there. But I would say the Madagascar goalkeeper also had to suffer, had to concede a lot there. 4 goals. That was the highest goals for yesterday's games. But we'll see that from Sao Tome and Principe. I would say Sao Tome, they were also a little team that suffered in their home ground. Sudan didn't lead them there. So Sao Tome will be finishing in that group with 0 point. No point there. Looking at other games we would see for today.
All right, so Uganda have qualified even though they drew goalless against Burkina Faso. Guinea have also qualified. They defeated Mali or go to near. So let's look at the matches for today, the fixtures for today. If I'm not mistaken, if I look at these graphics in front of me right now, it has to be between, South Africa against that team. Yeah, talking about Ghana.
Yes. The Battle of the Titans for me, Lisa, that's for you, South Africa, Ghana. Mine's going to be Kenya, Egypt, because I'm going to be seeing players from the English Premier League there are going to be locking horns. And you know for sure the likes of Mohamed Salah in that Egyptian squad there. But South Africa, Ghana, yes, we would see Battle of Titans too in that game for the early games for the AFCON. South Africa and Ghana, they also got affected by their players, the travel ban from France, and they had to do more with their logo-based players. And you know for South Africa, they've got a very strong league that's got good players there. Mamelodi Sundowns to mention a few there. And Ghana too has got a good league where they have local players to fit into for their AFCON qualifiers against South Africa.
All right, well, thank you very much. We'll get to see you much later when it comes to in the game. Well, still on sports, just before we move quickly, thank you very much, Onye. The Super Eagles are getting out very soon, but we caught up with some of them ahead of their big, double-header AFCON qualifiers.
It's great and an honor to play in Nigeria, and it's different than in Europe, of course, but no, it always feels great. Unfortunately, I don't think with the Corona rules, not everybody can be there in the stadium, but yeah, of course, you feel the love and the support from everyone here when you arrive, so yeah, that's always nice.
It's not only football. COVID affects a lot of things all around the world. It's not only in Nigeria or it's not only in football. So, but there's nothing we can do. That is the situation that we find ourselves. We just have to look for a solution, and thank God the solution is coming in day by day, and inshallah we hope very soon all this is going to be a past tense.
We're expecting hard work, fight, because against the Sierra Leone last game, I mean, we have to put it right. We should have done better. We all know that ourselves, and there's room for improvement, so we're going to use that as motivation for the next 2 games.
Wow.
Inshallah. I like that phrase.
That's the Captain Ahmed Musa. So we're getting set.
Anyway, let me not overblow it, but I'm really happy I was born a Nigerian. Let's go to our timeline this morning. I will start with this one. I saw it and I just thought to flash it before you. It has to do with Easter is still next week, but the Nigerian Senate is already on Easter break. They didn't even wait for Judas Iscariot to collect the 30 pieces of silver. Why? Okay, let's just move on to the next one. And this one I found really, there's a lot of conversation going on around this now. You can now buy a Tesla with Bitcoin. To the next one.
Tesla, that's electronic car.
Yes, yeah, Tesla, I beg your pardon, with Bitcoin. And then this is an explainer on how it would be. Tesla is using only internal and open source software and operates Bitcoin nodes directly. That's an explainer. Let's go to the C part of it. And that one you can later next year. We'll get it outside of the US. Now, the part that I want you to see again is the comment section. The first one is, but why? Bitcoin transactions are expensive and, more importantly, waste truly unbelievable amounts of energy, resulting in absurd carbon emission.
Wow.
That's the other one. And then please reverse this decision. That's the one of the comments. And the other one is quickly, currently Bitcoin data infrastructure uses more energy than the entire Tesla. I don't know why I keep calling it Tesla universe, including users, manufacturing, supply chains, and mining of raw material. And this person ends up with laughter, saying, you just doubled your carbon footprint with a tweet, mate.
All right.
Of different reactions.
So basically, I can buy a Tesla with Bitcoin.
Yeah.
All right.
Last.
So let's start.
We should stop all the shenanigans in Nigeria and just go ahead. Yeah.
All right, we have to go. Thank you very much for joining us once again, right here on Breakfast Central with Ulisa and Felicity. We'll see you again tomorrow. It's a Friday, so it's going to be a banger. Basically, we've got entertainment, we've got sports, we've got news, we've got some soft features for you. But we're leaving you, yes, with this one. So watch this, and you might stand a chance to be part with us right here on Breakfast Central. It's all about World Poetry Day. So enjoy, and we'll see you again.
Bye.
Africa. My Africa. Africa of proud warriors in ancestral savannas.
Africa of whom my grandmother sings on the banks of the distant river.
I have never known you, but your blood flows through my vein.
Your beautiful black blood that irrigates the fields.
The blood of your sweat.
The sweat of your work.
And the work of your slavery. Africa. Tell me, Africa.
Dear Africans, participate in the new Central World Poetry Day Challenge by making a video of yourself reciting the poem Africa, My Africa by David Diop. You could win 50,000 Naira or the equivalent in your local currency. You will also feature on our morning show, Breakfast Central. To participate, entry must be a video and can be done in your mother tongue. Upload your video on any social media platform. Follow News Central TV on all our social media platforms. Tag News Central TV in your submission and get your friends to like, share, and follow. Use the hashtag.